Easter has now slipped into memory, and everybody's sick in bed having chocolate-induced comas. However, my own personal vice is about to be satisfied by a look through some nice old-style Transformer toys. So without further ado, let's open the Easter bag and see what is inside. So first up on the slab we have 3/5 of the Stunticon Combiner team. On the left you have Breakdown, in the middle is Dragstrip, and on the right is Wild Rider. That means we're only missing Dead End and, of course, the large Motormaster who forms the central torso of the figure. Now, these guys are pretty old. They're very simple, they're not particularly well proportioned, they have all sorts of problems, but they're very iconic. You look at them and you instantly know which characters they are and what series they're from. I shall transform these using the power of my mind. So, by happy accident, they're arranged in order of size. And although Breakdown on the left there is the tallest, and also almost I'd say the bulkiest, he probably would be feeling fairly scared out of his wits right now, because Breakdown is very paranoid. His character was constantly on edge. It's amazing that he was part of a Combiner team at all. I'm surprised he trusted the other four to even go there. He doesn't have any of accessories, and I'm afraid none of them do. Normally there'd be a large pair of cannons that fits onto the back of the vehicle mode, and his concussion rifle that he would carry in robot mode. It's a shame that these haven't survived, because I think the attack modes actually look really cool in a very 80s kind of way. Moving on, we have Dragstrip, who is a thoroughly obnoxious little turd. Basically, he hates losing. He has to win at all costs, and that means he can be a right royal pain in the backside. But they also keep him around because he has such a desire to win, he will stop at nothing to beat the Autobots. Wild Rider, despite being the smallest of the three here, is, as his name suggests, a complete and utter bloody lunatic. He drives like most people drive an Audi. He drives like a total idiot. But it's this kind of brash and borderline demented bravado that he has in his racing capabilities and in his sheer lack of fear and probably common sense that again makes him a dangerous foe. Really, the Stunticons were a proper bunch of misfit nutjobs, and the reason I like them so much is they're all very distinctive. You can tell the difference between them at a glance. There's nothing there that makes them generic, and although they all transform similarly, and you know, that just lends them a familiarity, it just lends them a cohesion, it makes them feel more like a unit of soldiers, of warriors. They were actually constructed as a response to the capabilities of the Autobots. Megatron decided that yes, the Decepticons did control the skies, but they needed a ground-based team to outdo the Autobots on home turf. This worked for so long, but then the Autobots decided to do the exact opposite and built the Aerial Bots combining team, which then beat the crap out of Menasor, the combined Stunticon form, and so it didn't really work out. Moving on! Right, this is Skydive. He's one of the Generation 2 Predator jets from the early 90s, and bless him, he's seen better days. He doesn't have his utterly vicious missile launcher, and yeah, you can tell this guy's seen an awful lot of action. First things first, you'll notice that in his fist there is the broken peg of a Predator missile launcher. Very rare that you'll find one of these toys without the missile launcher broken off like that. However, it's almost made up for by that glowing visor. It looks painted on, but it's not. Character-wise, I don't know a lot about him, so I can just go off what it says on the bio card, which is: Skydive is the Predator's resident scientific advisor, and loves studying the science of warfare. He's cold, calculating, and so vindictive that even his fellow Predators don't fully trust him. This seems to be a running theme with Decepticons, the idea that they're all so evil that they don't really work very well together because they're all trying to out-evil each other. So what we have here is your classic crazy bastard mad scientist. But he does have one trick up his sleeve. Now, this gimmick was designed to work with the large figure Stalker, who was eventually repainted into Machine Wars Soundwave, and the gimmick is still present. So if you have either of those figures, what you do is you clip the aircraft on top, and you can see the little slide through the viewfinder on the missile. Now, what you can see here is one of the little flip-out clear slides that all of the Predator jets had. It depicts some of the Turbo Masters in car mode. So, speaking of the Turbo Masters, we have here Hurricane on the left, and on the right, Flash. These were exclusive to Europe, and I used to own Flash at one point. I don't know what happened to him or where he went. I also used to have Turbo Masters Rotorstorm, the helicopter. Unfortunately, this is all I can find of him. However, you'll notice it has a missile. You have the very much forward-thinking and planning Hurricane. His forward-thinking is almost it's almost prescient. You can almost tell what's going to happen because he plans to that degree. Flash is very impulsive. He is the classic character who will get himself in trouble with his crazy stunts, but they still sort of accept him as part of the team because of his skill and ability. The one thing they share in common is these ridiculously oversized missile launchers. Well, you can certainly see that Flash has seen better days. He's going to be on the Cybertronian equivalent of disability benefit, that's for sure. Whereas Hurricane's in good nick, and he may suffer from that strange perennial uni-leg phenomenon, but he's still quite nice. Now, Flash's lack of arms means that he won't mind if I borrow this, and I might be able to demonstrate why it is that these little yellow missiles are actually, they're like gold dust. They fire with a hell of a force, and then they ricochet off and are never seen again. Just to show you, there are storage points for these missiles on all of these figures. So, for example, you can store them on the shins, which would be the back of the car in the robot, in the vehicle mode rather. And again, with Flash, he has one fin remaining where you can store the missile on his leg there. I'm a huge fan of these kind of gimmicky Transformers from G2. Yeah, I really miss the ones I don't have. Oh well, moving on once more. And here we have another disparate pairing. Obviously hailing from two completely different combiner teams. On the left there is Streetwise, who's the cop car, and on the right you have the wonderful Swindle. Just like the previously mentioned Stunticons and Aerial Bots, the Protectobots and Combaticons, from which these two different Transformers hail, were exact opposite teams. Streetwise, as his name suggests, is very aware of his environment, and his task is always to help and protect and serve, just like any proper policeman. I mean, Swindle is basically Del Boy, while everybody else may look upon him as a con artist, a bit of a wheeler-dealer. He sees himself as just a straight-up entrepreneur. Well, there's no prizes for guessing who won here. Swindle may have boxes for arms, shoulders in his stomach, and just be generally stumpy and blocky, but oh dear, what happened there? Yep, Streetwise is definitely an absolute duffer. Can't say I like him in any way. We're getting near the end of our cavalcade of weirdness today, and I have to bring this one out. This is the G2 version of Sizzle, Sparkabot. G2, how can you possibly tell? Sadly, his sparking gimmick no longer works. What would happen is this would roll, and sparks would fire out of the back. I don't know quite how they are powered. I'm assuming it's a flint rubbing against something, but those gimmicks wore out really fast. Ah, Sizzle. He's a gung-ho warrior who likes to be in the thick of battle. He likes to throw himself in no matter what the odds are. He will fight until the bitter end. The problem is, he's rubbish at it. He may have his sparking powers, but the best he'd be able to do is cook a hot dog, and even then he's not very good at it. So yeah, basically suicidally dangerous in his own manner. He's like one of those little chav kids who come up to you and try and square up, and you basically look at them and think, you'd break. So, Sizzle, an Autobot likes to think he's a warrior. He's just as rubbish as you might expect. And finally, this is G2 Turbo Fire, one of the accelerators. That's accelerators. You see what I did there? Oh, blame them. Anyway, he's an accelerator, which means that he has a little chrome engine that pops out to form his gun. And as you can see, it's actually there, which is cool. I really do like the accelerators. They're just pure retro. I mean, his name's Turbo Fire, which is what you used to get on the old Amiga joysticks. Oh, he's just a nauseating, wonderful robot. Speaking of which, this for me is what G2 was all about. There's lots and lots of innovation. First, he escapes having the uni-leg phenomenon. Secondly, he has amazing light piping. He's got a fun transformation, he's very characterful, he has his own weapon and weapon storage. He's a disgusting colour, but I don't care. The accelerators are a line that I would love to collect. This guy is just a brilliant, fun little toy. If you can get your head around the strange yogurt vomit paint scheme, he's just a proper, fully realised little robot. I also like the fact that his head has got a bit of the kind of combiner peg look about it, but without being so silly and tiny. Top marks. This guy wins. So there we go. Hopefully that wasn't too painful. I'm a bit aware that it might be a long video when I've finished editing it. Thank you very much, Jim, for sharing these wonderful little bits and pieces of late 80s, early 90s history with me. It's been actually really enjoyable going through them and remembering all of their backstories and the character quirks. I'm not entirely sure how to finish this, other than saying that I've always liked Generation 2 for its faults, for its interesting colour choices, and I really miss some of those G1 combiners as well. Those toys were just right. They were toys that were fun and quick and solid and characterful. We never had any of those when I was a kid. We never had any of the Scramble City combiners. And in the case of the aerial bots, I don't really mind. But it's kind of made me realise that although the Generations line, with its rethinking and homages and interesting mechanics, really is quite good and really does bring some of the characters a lot more to life, there are some old designs that just simply can't be beaten for their simplicity and just their tactile qualities. So yeah, thanks Jim, and thank you for watching.